Hello, students, and thank you for tuning in. This is a very good question that I like to go over. How are over-the-counter, and that's what OTC stands for, pain medications safer than prescriptions? Well, I'm going to give you guys some examples to help you out here. Prescription medications, one advantage for them is that you can get a stronger medication. That also becomes a disadvantage, right? Because usually over-the-counter pain medications are at the lower dose, and they're deemed to be safe to be given usually at home without supervision. One of the good things here about this is, let's take Tylenol and we're going to take Midrin, for example. We're also going to go over some Mobic and Naproxen. Let's take Tylenol, for example. Let's go way back to children's Tylenol. Usually a child's dose is half of an adult dose. So how many of you really remember taking just a regular Tylenol? It's 250 milligrams. It says to take every 4 to 6 hours. What is 250 times 4? Please let me know. Let me give you guys a few minutes. $250 times every 4 hours ends up being about 1,000 milligrams. So divide 4 into 24. What do you actually get? So you can take 6 doses of this Tylenol, 250 milligrams, 6 times in 24 hours. Okay, so let's do that. 6 times 250 ends up being about 1,500. Okay, that's a pretty safe range, right? There are some situations where you don't want to take Tylenol or you don't want to go over the recommended amount. Okay, how many of you have ever seen the extra strength Tylenol? It's actually 500 milligrams. Okay. Let's say on the bottle it says you can take it every 4 to 6 hours. Let's divide 6 or even 4 into 24. So 24 divided by every 4 hours. Again, it's 6, so I can take 6 doses. What is 6 times 500? 3,000. That seems like a huge amount, right? That's actually pretty safe. There are some situations where you don't want to go over that or you don't want to take that amount. And we're going to go over those right now. Okay, so one of the ways that you do not want to take a certain amount of Tylenol is don't go over the daily dose. And the daily limit is about 3,500 to 4,000. That's actually been lowered recently with evidence-based practice to around 300 to 3,500. Liver is very toxic to the liver. Tylenol is very toxic to the liver. So somebody with liver problems, liver disease, they've had liver damage, you don't want to give them over 1,500 a day. And that's milligrams. Now, Tylenol is just for pain. It's not for inflammation. What do we usually take for pain and inflammation? It's ibuprofen, right? Okay. Ibuprofen is a COX-2 inhibitor. And COX-2 inhibitors cause an increased risk for bleeding disorders. So you're going to have a much lower threshold giving those over the counter than you are prescription. Okay. Prescription is very well maintained and looked after. It's got criteria to it. Given over-the-counter Motrin, you're giving the least amount that you can, right? But you also need to know, and your doctors and your nurses, they need to teach patients about not taking ibuprofen if we have certain things going on, such as we're already taking a blood thinner, we have an ulcer, we have a bleeding ulcer, and you drink alcohol. The reason being for the alcohol is when you drink a lot from alcohol, you can get these little things that are called esophageal varices, and they will continuously bleed. And if you're taking alcohol and then you're taking ibuprofen, the ibuprofen actually intensifies the effect of the bleeding, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol. Then you can have all sorts of bleeding problems, issues, and your blood's thinner with ibuprofen. Same thing with aspirin. Aspirin also has that effect. So any gastric ulcers, any bleeding disorders, you drink alcohol, you don't want to take those medications. Okay. Naproxen is actually a derivative of aspirin, and you do not want to take that also if you're on any anything like warfarin, Coumadin, you're taking another aspirin or ibuprofen. You don't want to mix those. So what you can do is alternate a Tylenol and ibuprofen, so you're not getting so much, right? So it's not hard on your liver, and it doesn't cause the intense bleeding effect if you're taking it over the counter. Okay. So that is one of the reasons why over-the-counter pain medications are a little bit safer, because the doses are smaller, right? You're taking the minimal amount than prescriptions. Prescriptions, Tylenol would be like 800 milligrams. Well, if I take that every 4 hours, I'm going to go way over my daily limit, right? 800 times 6. Let's look at that. That would be about, I don't know if you guys can see it, 4,800. That is definitely way over my limit, and it's going to cause, or it may cause, liver damage, especially if I don't know I have liver damage. And okay, the antidote, if you have somebody that comes into the AR, and the antidote for this is Mucomist. It helps reduce and break down that Tylenol. So somebody that's overdosed or taken too much or didn't know they took too much, you can actually give them this little thing. It's called Mucomist, and it can be given in an inhaler. It can be given in an injection. You can snort it up the nose, or put a tube down your throat, and you can put this in. It actually breaks down that Tylenol, so it doesn't affect the liver that much, but that's in an overdose. So backing up a little bit, we only want to take the minimal amount, and that's why over-the-counter is a lot safer than prescription, because you are taking a huge amount, right, in the prescription. So that's why over-the-counter pain medications are safer. Okay, hope I explained this a little bit more. Why are some medications only available by prescription? Because of their side effects and the damage they can do to the body. They have to have somebody explain and have somebody give you education. They definitely require more education and a lot of monitoring. Okay. I hope that's helped answer questions. Okay, signing off. Sayonara.